to the next Ditch Witch Diaries. This time we are talking about plants of the moon, and we are going to be talking about chickweed. So let me just get you going. That is a traditional plant of the moon for sure.
I love chickweed too. It's a good plant.
Chickweed, excellent. So it is called Stellaria media, and that's what that's what the botanical drawings of it are, and that's what AI thinks it looked like. And it's low to the ground. It's like ground covery, so it's not a bad look. The parts used are the dried aerial parts, and the other names are adder's mouth, RV, chickeny weed, chick whittles, cluckenwort, Indian chickweed, kohu, passerina, cocobala, satin flower, skirt buttons, star chickweed, starweed, starwort, stellaire, stitchwort, tongue grass, white bird's eye, and winterweed. So Stellaria just means little star. So the plant information. Chickweed's found all over the world, in every part of the world. It's found in pre-Neolithic dig sites in Great Britain, and it's native to Europe. It's been traditionally used in salads to improve eyesight, or it's boiled like spinach. It tastes like spinach too, and it will build up your blood. Some say even better than spinach. It's also safe for most animals, can be given to birds, pigs, rabbits, cows, hamsters, and horses. I had to add hamsters. I found something that said you can give it to hamsters. I'm like, okay, I'll add the hammy. Well, people have hamsters, and it would be nice if you have chickweed, give it to them. They'll probably love it.
Yeah.
So it is. It's wet and cold lunar energy that opposes energies of the sun and Mars. So chickweed contains also saponin, which is a soapy substance, and saponins, they emulsify and they increase the permeability of cell membranes. And a lot of these soapy plants that contain saponins, like you can pick them and then you can like rub them underwater and they will actually get bubbly. They will actually form like bubbly soap like parts. It's really kind of fun. One of my friends used to have a bunch, and it wasn't chickweed, it was some other plant, and I forgot what it was. But used to be able to go into he had it all lining like the front of his estate, and you would be able to go and pick this plant, and like literally it was so fun to like see it all foam up, and it was so saponins. So chickweed, and we're gonna come back to this idea of like emulsifying and increasing permeability of cell membranes, because that's one of its that's what it does. So chickweed displays the sleep of plants. So what this is at night, the lower leaves fold up and they enclose the upper parts of the plant. And it's interesting because Datura kind of has this nighttime thing too. Like when it's not like overly stressed, like you'll only see the flowers like in the early morning or late at night, because it kind of opens to the moon. So chickweed though didn't arrive in the Americas until the 1700s. So it's kind of a late arrival there. So first, let's go over to Switzerland. And we don't have many stories about chickweed, which is weird. Again, I tried really hard. So in Switzerland, they eat chickweed to strengthen their heart, and they use it as a convalescent medicine. In Japan, it's considered a lucky herb. And I don't know how to say it, the Ain culture group, this culture group, they have a creation myth about people being built from like the mud of the earth, and like humans being made from like the earth components. And the myth tells that the human was made out of mud, out of dirt and sticks, but it had chickweed for hair.
I like that.
And in China, China does this thing, and they use, I love this because this is a very common remedy for lots of people. But China really embraces this idea of the triple goddess remedy, which is chickweed for chickweed is maidenwort, motherwort, and then cronewort, which is mugwort, which is interesting.
I like that. Yeah.
So then we have lore, stories, and cultural import. And I love this. It's like, quote, sailors. This is what it's sailors. Not who sailors, but
just general sailors.
General sailors, okay, from somewhere, because there's all sorts of sailors, right? And so if fresh citrus was unavailable, sailors would also use chickweed and vinegar to prevent scurvy. In Denmark, and this is like one of my favorite pictures. I don't know who those people are in the back. I don't know what's going on here, but like it's not even chickweed. I don't even know. It looks like clover going on.
It does look like clover.
I don't know what's happening there. It is clover. I even see the little balls on the top. So in Denmark, Grabal and Talun are bog bodies that they found from the 3rd century, and they're pretty well preserved. And they had chickweed seeds in their stomach. So this has been around and being eaten for a long time. So the correspondences. The element is water. The planet is both the sun and the moon, which is interesting. It's one of those dual kind of herbs, but mostly moon. I tell you, I find chickweed, everyone who's talking about moon plants mentions chickweed. It's a very popular one to have in, like, it's a very common association, I should say. So I didn't have an astrological sign. It's associated with the sacral chakra, and the Sabbat is Letha midsummer. And the goddesses are, and how do you say it? Ariana, I don't know. I don't know how you say that name. Brigitte, Hera, Oshun, Oya, and Venus. And the tarot card association is the Ace of Pentacles, which is interesting. I like little earthy things. Yeah. So, because it's real low to the ground, so magical properties is it's animals. And again, I love, like, I feel like this is like the second time that this has happened, where we start off like this magical properties, and it starts off with an animals, but like we don't really get a lot of information on it other than animals can eat it, and there's really no other stories, which makes me think there are, but I just can't find them. So healing, animal magic, and especially bird magic. It has an affinity for bird magic specifically. So it's a herb of fertility, and especially if you're using it with a poppet, and you could make it have the hair, you could make the poppet have the curly hair, right? It's a fertility herb because it has the many seeds it produces. So some of these are, sometimes you find out really quick why it's a fertility. Sometimes it's like a reproductive herb, but sometimes the seed thing is pretty common too. Yeah. It's used for healing magic in general. And look, I did that last instead of first. Oh, well. So more magical properties of our chickweed. Love, fidelity, to maintain a relationship, to keep a marriage happy, secretly put it in people's food. And you can mix the juice of chickweed, and I didn't know it produced juice, but apparently it does. Yeah. And you can mix it with a floor wash to create a happy home as well. So moon magic, obviously, and then it has these little white flowers, and the white flowers, they symbolize purity and clarity, and you can eat to take internally and invoke the transformation. So protection, it's a ward against unwanted energies, especially a protection for the young. So it's called also maidenwort. So because chickweed is the maiden form of that, so it's that group, mother, maiden, crone. And so this is the maiden herb, and then the motherwort is the mother herb, and then mugwort is the crone herb. So this is maidenwort, and we saw that before in the cultural stories. But Susan Weed also says that it's called maidenwort, and she says it's used to create clear boundaries, courage, balance, wisdom, and inner peace, which gives me pause. Okay, and I'll tell you why it gives me pause. And because, okay, she says it's because maidens need to build up their boundaries, and they should have good boundaries, right? But the problem is that what it does is it breaks boundaries.
Oh.
So that's what it does, is it breaks cellular walls. Its whole thing is it goes in and busts boundaries. It busts it open. So maybe perhaps boundaries, but it's so in this aspect, it's part of the triple goddess, like herbs that we just talked about. And it helps you listen to your intuition. So it's supposed to assist, quote, thin, dry, and brittle people, which I don't have another parenthetical, but you're not supposed to take it if you have a very watery nature.
Who can that be? Oh my god.
I don't know who that is.
No idea who that could be.
So in the language of flowers, it's a rendezvous, and it's coming together. And I think probably because it's so watery, it's just like too much. You're like gonna be a watery mess.
Yeah, fair.
So the medicinal properties, it's an anti-rheumatic, an emollient, a refrigerant, and a vulnerary. So using it externally, you can use it on cuts and wounds and itching and irritation. And it's good also for abscesses and boils. You can make a poultice in muslin, and it acts as a drawing salve to get that yuck out. Manges, which you know are mites. So, but it's mange. Actually, mange, humans can, be careful. It's mites is what it is. If your dog has mange, watch out. Piles, which are hemorrhoids, so externally, stings of storts and eczema. Urticaria, which is inflammation of the skin, and it's because this is very cooling. So when you have inflammation in your skin, it's hot and enraged, and this is going to cool it because it's moist and cool, like all lunar herbs. So it's good for scabies, like I said, which manges, scabies, whatever, they're the same kind of group. Be careful. It's also, how could it not be, again, although I didn't see old rheumatism cure with datura, which was rad.
Yeah, surprisingly, actually.
I know. Both internal and external. So you can put it on your like rheumatic joints, or you can take it internally for that. So also an interesting thing is its use in obesity. So they say that you can use chickweed water. So how you make this is you put 1 ounce of chickweed in a quart jar, and you fill it with boiling water, and you cap it. And then you let it sit for 4 hours, and you can strain or drink it hot or cool. And you can do it sweet with honey or savory with miso. And you're supposed to drink 2 cups to up to a quart daily. And it's, because it breaks the walls, and it's supposed to break the walls of the of fat cells and help your body metabolize fat better. Because especially like the fat that like is hard to get rid of, that it kind of like it stays trapped because of these hard cells, that it will break down the fat, supposedly, because it breaks down. That's its nature. So stomach ailments, again, breaking down, constipation. It's going to break down that hard shit in your ass. Sorry. Layers of rude.
True.
Exactly. Okay. So if you want to use it for constipation, though, you can make a decoction and take it like 3 times a day, or up to every 2 to 3 hours. So what you want to do is use 3 15-milliliter tablespoons of dried chickweed, or 2 handfuls of fresh chickweed, to 2 pints of water. and you're going to boil it and reduce this down to 1 pint. So you're going to get it very concentrated. And then you're going to take a warm capful every 3 hours until you have a bowel movement. So serious stuff.
Yeah. Talk about moving stuff.
I know. So ulcers, you can use an infusion for ulcers, colitis, IBS. Also for coughs and hoarseness, it's going to break down mucus, right? We're talking everything. So it has an affinity, though, for the lungs. Bronchitis, pleurisy, colds, or medicinal properties. It's a tonic. It's high in iron. It's like, remember, it's like the spinach, right? It's also high in copper. It's very nourishing. And it increases your body's ability to absorb nutrients. So you can use it for sore eyes. You can use the juice, and you can place the juice on the pads and put them on your eyes. It cools the liver. It's good for blood poisoning. And I'm not sure if you are having blood poisoning. Okay, folks. Okay. Let me just break down. If you're in the middle of nowhere and you have suspicions of blood poisoning and you have no other remedy in the whole wide world, for sure, grab some chickweed. Okay. Yeah. If you are in any other circumstances, you best get your ass to a doctor who can deal with your blood poisoning, because it sounds pretty serious.
Yeah. We study herbs, but we also like doctors.
Exactly. In fact, we have doctors in our family.
We do.
In-house.
Yeah.
So, like I said, this is going to, like, chickweed dissolves and breaks down matter. Bacteria, in cysts, mucus, digestive matter, excess fat, all of it. In Ayurvedic medicine, chickweed pacifies pitta and builds kapha. So if that means something to you, good for you. Run with
Amazing.
Yeah. I know. And these are our sources. So you can take a picture of that there. And let me just stop our share. And excellent. We're back.
Nice.
And we learned all about chickweed and the stories about chickweed. And if anybody knows anything about chickweed, share it. Like, if you got stories that I don't tell, I mean, and you're listening to these, please, like, put the chickweed, put your stories in the comments and let us know if you have additional stories. Because obviously we're obsessed with the stories of herbs. So how could you do a show like this?
Also, any, like, I want to also expand that to any, like, old wives' tales for any of the herbs. Like, I love old wives' tales. Like, like throwing salt on over your shoulder, like those types of things. I live for those things.
Me too. Those are great.
Yeah.
Anyways, we will next week. What do we have next week? Let me see. What's the next herb? The next planet. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Let's see. The next planet is, are we going? So we have Moon, and then we have Jupiter.
Oh, nice.
Is it Jupiter next? I don't know. In my book, it's next. I have this book. So if anybody's interested, The Astrological Herbal for Women by Elizabeth Brooke. And that's how she goes through these herbs, is by planet. So that's why I'm like, it's kind of an interesting thing. But her next planet is Jupiter. So in theory, I guess that's the next one, right? Maybe.
Works. Yeah, works for me.
Okay. So we will see you at the next Ditch Witch Diaries.